This guy has been the singerist in Queensryche for the last decade. He's got a new solo record out called Rejoice in the Suffering on Rat Pack Records, who are good friends of ours. It's Todd La Torre, or as he's known in Brooklyn, hey, it's Todd La Torre. How's it going, man?
How you doing? You doing all right?
I tell you, to this day, man, me and Ace Von Johnson from LA Guns, I'll never forget being on the Monsters of Rock cruise. You know, Queensryche's been on many times. And these guys, hey, you know, I just seen the new singer for Queensryche, Todd La Torre. That guy's better than Dee Schneider.
Yeah, that's a good impression. I like that.
So whenever Ace and I talk about you, you're always Todd La Torre.
That's great. Yeah, and it's funny because I hear people say, you know, La Torre, La Torre. They don't know how to say it. Yeah. La Torre. La Torre is how I say it.
Yeah, and
but I like that. You know, Todd La Torre.
Yeah, it's so great.
I like to hear Archie Bunker say it.
Yeah, Todd La Torre, huh?
Hey, Todd La Torre.
So, dude, first of all, I don't know if you're a football guy, but congrats on the Tampa Bay Bucks. You're a Tampa guy, right?
I'm a Tampa guy. Yeah, I could hear. I'm in St. Petersburg. That stadium is about 25 minutes away from where I live, but you know, I could hear, and I go, "Oh, I think the Bucks just scored."
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it was a big deal for Tampa, and from what I understand, it's the first time a team that's hosting the event was also in it. So then they won it too. So that's great.
Yeah, and old man Brady, he told everybody I still got it, and no one believed him. But here he goes to another team, and he does it. So good for him.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, huh?
Well, yeah, he's a freak of nature, man. And go ahead.
I just want to earn what he pays in taxes.
I got to get on that vitamin regimen, whatever that kooky vitamin thing he does, man. That's it. It's working for him, man.
He's amazing.
Yeah, and dude,
your hair's getting long.
I just go in and say 2 weeks away from a mullet, please.
No, it looks good. It's a good look.
Well, I haven't made a lot of money this year, Todd, because of COVID, so I can't really afford it. But yeah. But thanks. It's good to see you, man. You know,
likewise.
I always love hanging with you, and I always say to my friends who come on here, man, I wish this was in person. But man, I am so thrilled for you, bro. This album is sick, man. Congrats.
I'm glad you like it. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
It's it's heavier than I was in 4th grade. I was a fat kid is what I'm saying. I was big. And this album is just, man, you put it on and within 10 seconds you're just getting beat about the head with fists. And it's really amazing, man.
Everyone needs a good fisting.
That's a new show slogan now. That Jamieson show, everyone needs a good fisting.
See? Hey.
From Todd La Torre.
I got more where that comes from. So yeah, you know, it was just a collection of, it was just Craig and I, you know, my friend Craig Blackwell, who plays guitar and bass on it. And we did the whole record, just the two of us. We wrote and played everything on it and recorded it. And I just wanted to do songs that I like as a fan of metal and different elements of things. And I thought, okay, let's just write stuff that we would want to listen to. I don't have to conform to, I have no rules. I don't have to be like, you know, there's no expectation of, because I've never done a solo record before. So people really didn't know what to expect. And, you know, it allows me to do just the different voicings that I have you know, and I just, it was just a lot of fun done. And there was no like real objective, but you know, it's a heavy record, but it still has hooks and a lot of groove. A lot of groove. That's what I wanted was something that has groove. You know, not just fast and you know something that makes you want to headbang and feels good. You know, so I'm glad that you like it. You know, it seems to be making a bit of a splash right now.
It really is, man. I'm so excited to see all the great reviews, because this record not only deserves to be heard, it deserves to be toured on, but that's a whole other conversation, obviously. You won't be able to do that, at least for a while. Yeah, it really brought, to me, man, it kind of brought back like shades of like Judas Priest Painkiller, old school metal church kind of vibe, just real straight ahead. Great heavy music, but like you said, with some melody and with some groove. So it's not, yeah, you're not just getting beat over the head the whole time, but yeah, it really is punishing, man. It's like plutonium metal.
Good. Keep playing it. Show your friends. Yeah, it's, you know, there's certain, you know, when I listen to a lot of what I'm hearing today, it's either like very power metal, you know, kind of that Euro power metal sound, or it's very a lot of symphonic elements. Or it's the whole time, and it's like, man, the music's killer, and I love certain screaming type of deliveries. Don't get me wrong, but it's getting harder and harder to differentiate one band from the next. It reminds me of that point in time when glam was just getting so beat to death, and you say, okay, something else has to come in, penetrate this stuff. And you know, I don't know if I have a dated writing style or a sound or whatever, but whatever Craig and I did, it was just how we write. And I thought to myself, you know, I can hear thrash, but I don't ever hear thrash with like melodic singing, and not like necessarily just clean singing. But so yeah, that's why one of the reasons why I like the record so much is I can do a song like Vanguards of the Dawn Wall and give it, a lot of people compare it to Overkill, that kind of delivery, which I love, you know. And then, you know, even then you have the Crossroads to Insanity, which is slower, but there's a ton of different voicings on here that's a whole nother part of how I also sing. And so yeah, it was a good outlet.
Yeah, no, that's how I was going to bring that up. It's a good point, man. Is because obviously the focal point for fans is your voice, and so they're gonna hear familiarity, but they're gonna also hear new stuff, which is obviously super exciting for you. Who is this Mr. Blackwell?
So Craig Blackwell is he's one of my best friends, and the first band that I ever joined as a drummer when I was about 14 or 15 years old was a band called Blackwell. And it was his band, and, you know, we played covers and we had originals that we were writing. And, you know, he was always like that guy, like where you grow up, you know, there's those couple guys that are like, that guy's a badass. That's who, you know, you could see that they're going to go somewhere one day. And some people just don't get that stepping stone or the notoriety, but you know, they were great. Craig is an awesome guitar player. He writes killer songs, great riffs, great soloist. The guitar playing is super clean.
Yes, it is.
You know, he's an excellent picker. Everything is picked note for note, and but also melodic. You know, there's good melody in his playing too. So he's just a guy that I've been best friends with since I was around 14. And when it came time to do the solo record, I just said, all right, dude, this is it. We're going to do this. And it's kind of the record that we always wanted to do in our 20s and just never did it. We never had a platform. And, you know, he was my right-hand man. And I said, I don't care that you're an undiscovered guy outside of this area. We're going to do this together, because nobody's going to write the record like this, like we will together. And so, yeah, he's just a local guy that is tremendously talented, and I'm super happy for him to start, you know, seeing his name in the press, and people are mentioning his name in different parts of the world, and he's just, you know, really thankful for that. And so I feel really happy for him that he's starting to get some credit and notoriety, because he is that good. Yeah,
because when I saw the name, I wasn't familiar with him. So yeah, I wanted to make a point to bring it up because of that, because the playing on the album, like you said, is so clean and precise and heavy, of course. So great. And hey, Florida man's got to stick together.
That's it. Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah,
I feel a new concept for your next solo album.
And that is?
Todd La Torre, Florida Man. And every song is about one of those crazy stories about somebody in Florida doing something nuts, like eating someone's face off or something.
Yeah, guys having sex with the pool pump.
Yes.
You know, alligators, you know, on the putting green.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have everything from deadly hurricanes, spiders, serial killers. We have it all here.
There's a second album already written.
Yeah, but it's Todd La Torre from Florida.
Yeah.
Florida.
So, obviously, excuse me, a lot of people know you certainly as the singer for Queensryche for many years now. Your first solo album, you know, obviously, I guess you had time during the pandemic to really be able to lay it out the way that you wanted. What's your do you have any favorite solo records from vocalists who are known for another band? Like for me, the first thing I think of is Rob Halford doing Fight or his solo stuff. I probably stole your thunder there.
Yeah, Resurrection is such an awesome. The first Fight record, I love, you know, and you know the Halford solo stuff. I mean, Resurrection is just, it's so good. And you know, when we started writing this album, Craig and I both, we said, you know, remember when Fight came out? It was very raw, and it wasn't a bunch of layered guitars. Like you could hear the riff, you know, and it was just good metal. And I said, I want to do that. Like I want to make sure that there's that groove, and I just want 2 killer rhythm tracks. I don't want a ton of layers. And if you listen, you know, you've heard the record, you know, it's the Mesa Boogie Mark IV on the rhythms, and it's just, there's a presence. It's not ear fatiguing, but the guitars are in your face, and you hear that riff. It definitely pokes out. And you know, so yeah, I mean the Halford solo stuff, you know, Bruce Dickinson's put out solo material that I really like. God, I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, you know a lot more than I do, right off the top of my head.
Well, those are the ones I would think of right off the top of my head too.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ronnie Dio had Dio, so you know that's a little bit of a different situation. But yeah, that and the cool thing is that like your album. And like, let's say, the first Fight album, again, you're getting familiarity, but you're also getting a totally new take on somebody you already like from an existing band, and that's just a win-win, man. So, again, congrats, and I love that it's getting great press. Now I want to hear these goddamn songs live.
I know. I think they would be a lot of fun to play live. I mean, there's just a, you know, I mean, obviously, I love Queensryche and I love that sound. But you know, there's a heaviness that I yearn for with a more aggressive approach, and that's why you know me. I'm a metalhead, and I like that stuff to be gritty and aggressive and really powerful. And so I think by the time, you know, when touring, it's probably another one of your bullets there that we'll talk about, but. You know, when touring opens up, obviously I'll be out doing stuff with Queensryche. But if there's ever some time where, okay, touring's happening, but we've got a couple weeks off or some significant downtime, and I'm able to go play some shows on this live, I totally want to do that. You know, I told Alex Skolnick, because we sent Alex and Chuck the record early, and they both, you know, said really great things privately to me about it. They thought it was killer. And I said to Alex, like, man, I would love to open up a handful of shows for you guys. You know, I want to be in front of like that thrash audience. Right.
And Testament just put out a great, you know, in the past year, put out a killer album.
Yeah. I mean, I've been following them forever, but I think one of the things to my benefit, and many other bands in this situation, is usually you put a record out, and then like the tour kicks off the next day, right? So the people have only heard the 3 songs that you've released prior, or whatever that number is. and they've got to learn the album. So when you're playing new stuff live, you know, they're just kind of taking it in. They can't sing along because they don't know it. By the time I'm able to do any shows live, the people that are going to come out, they're going to know these songs, and it's just going to make that experience 10 times better, because I want to see headbanging. I want to see a pit if I can make that happen. I want to see like fucking no holds barred on my stuff, you know, and I'd love to do some shows with Testament or Overkill or, you know, stuff like that. That's like right up my alley, you know.
Yeah, I seen the Wall of Death at a Todd La Torre show. It was unbelievable.
It was huge. It was like unbelievable.
Forget about it.
You know, what I'm doing, I'm blending yours, and I'm blending the female of Andrew Dice Clay.
Wow, your blending is very important. A lot of people don't realize you have to blend, and you are a big comedy fan too, which obviously I love about you. Because you know who I've been watching a ton of, and I love, is Sebastian Maniscalco. Yeah. You know, you probably know him. Oh, sure.
But I mean, that guy, he's like, "You have Orangina? Yeah, I got it." Like his delivery is really good. His timing's good. Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of comedy. Huge fan of comedy.
Yeah, I know. So, you're always nice enough on the Monsters of Rock cruise. You come to the comedy show and hang. So it's always good to see a face of somebody that I admire sitting in the crowd as well. So
thank you kindly. Yeah, I always try to catch your show, and I think there was one time we were laughing together, and I go, "Dude, I just thought of something really funny. You got to use it," and you wrote it down. And I think you had a line that I said, "This is too funny, man. You got to take this."
You did give me a good line, yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, you know, I always loved mimicking and doing voices, and and the timing and just all of the things around comedy. There was a point in time when I was, you know, my adolescent years where I was like, I want to be a stand-up comic. I want to do comedy because I just love it, and I'm really sick and twisted like you and Jim, and you know, my wife says, you're not right. And I was like, she's like, what do you mean? She goes, you have issues. Right. I'm like, do I? I go, I'm sure people think of this stuff. She goes, no, they don't. Like, nobody thinks of this. I said, no, I think they just don't voice it, but they think stuff like this. She says, no. So I really get the humor, and there's a creative thing where it's like that word association. All right, I'm going to say lawnmower. What's the first one? You know, whatever it is. And you're just riffing with yourself, or you see things, and I'll walk by myself by the mirror, and I'll do voices, and I'll talk to myself like it's another character in different accents. And my wife's like, "What are you doing?" You know, I'll come up, I'll do the Steve Martin. I go, "What's up, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa." He does that little dance in the attic. So I'll hike my pants up like high waters and do the little dance, and you know, she thinks I'm just ridiculous, but makes me laugh.
Yeah, no, she's right. You have issues, Todd. But when I come to Florida, you get together a tight 5 or 10, and you come up and you do a couple minutes, man.
Dude, I would love. You know what? I would love to work with you on a little 5-minute bit, and come up with something. I think I could. All
right, let's do it.
I'll put myself out there and try it. Yeah, totally.
All right, we're gonna work on that.
Okay.
Before we let you go, we want to get obviously an update on Queensryche. Where are we in the process here, if anywhere?
Yeah, so we're working on new stuff. Michael will be down here in March, and we're writing new songs. We got a ton of great ideas, so hopefully we can record mid to later this year. The tentative goal is to try to put something out the beginning of next year, hopefully like February-ish.
Yeah.
And hopefully by then the vaccines will have been distributed and herd immunity does its thing, and like we can start to get back to some semblance of normalcy. So that's the kind of the timeline with us.
It was funny, you know, I just was thinking what you said about mimicking, and although, you know, obviously it's your voice coming out of your mouth, but when you're singing the old Queensryche songs, is that something that's, I mean, is that a part of it in any way for you? Like, because you kind of have to make it sound like the original versions, even though it's your voice and you do your thing with it, but is that a little part of it, or am I way off?
It's a good question, and if we have enough time, I'll try to make it brief. There's many facets to this answer, but number one, I grew up loving Queensryche and Iron Maiden and Dio, and so you're learning how does this singer, what makes this singer sound the way that he does. Number one, you've got an anatomical aspect where the bones of your skull and your face and your sinuses and your everything makes your tone sound the way that it does. So, you know, no matter how good somebody is, a singer, I'm never going to sound like Steve Perry. Anatomically, it's just physiologically, it's not going to happen. Very different skulls. Right. So I do have that makeup where I do have a tonal similarity. Now, those nuances that we know he's known for, those little crying inflections, those have become a part of my sound and style, like that he created, in my opinion, because it's just like if you're learning guitar and you're learning Stevie Ray Vaughan licks, or you know, some kind of a little tail ending of something, and then later you're doing a solo and then you do something and here comes that little flourish, you go, okay, it just creeps out. So all of the little crying things that happen are natural, but there is a, you know, there's also muscle memory. You know, you want to represent those songs as close to those recordings as you can. So there is a conscious, in the beginning, I think there's a conscious effort to the phrasing and those kinds of things. But, you know, on my record, there are moments like the beginning of the song Vexed, where I'm just singing how I feel that music wants me to sing. And so it's not contrived in that sense. I'm just doing what the music makes me feel like. Yeah. So it is natural, but you have to be mindful of those nuances that are very characteristic to that Queensryche sound. Yeah, that's really interesting, man. And what was really cool, man, is when you first joined the band, you know, you were accepted for the most part, like by the majority of the fans. Was there any part of this country or the world where they were a little tougher sell with you? I mean, you're established with the band now, but at the beginning, I don't think. I mean, I think there's that toughness, that reluctance, the skepticism, the, you know, kind of thing everywhere. But I think Queensryche is a bigger band in the United States than Europe, for example. And because I was in Crimson Glory, which is a very coveted, cult-followed kind of a band in Europe, I already kind of had an acceptance because they knew me, you know, from Crimson Glory. And that really helped. In fact, when we would go to Europe, they're like, you know, guest list, and most of the guys were like, nope. I'm like, yeah, I got 5 guys here. I got, like, I knew a lot of people in Europe from all that. But, you know, people will come up to you and say, you know, outside of the U.S. and say, like, you know, I didn't think you could, who is this Todd guy? And, you know, could he really do it? But I was already kind of groomed and used to that with the Crimson Glory thing, because that original singer passed away. It's kind of like the Sanctuary thing, right? So Warrell Dane is no longer here. Right. Does Sanctuary forget? Do they close shop, or do they get someone that they feel is worthy that can represent the songs well? And I think they've done that. And so you're always going to have that guy that, you know, just isn't going to accept me. But it just wasn't. It wasn't one certain area, and I didn't know that about Crimson Glory. That's an interesting thing too about the popularity in Europe. And so, like, hey, you can't argue with a guy whose guest list in Bulgaria is full. So exactly. That's pretty cool. Hey, man, like I said, I call it Bulgaria. Hey, Todd, I saw Todd La Torre in Bulgaria with Crimson Glory. I seen him. Twice.
Twice. Dude, again, I could not be more pumped for you. The album is terrific. I couldn't recommend it any higher. It is called Rejoice in the Suffering. We love Rat Pack Records. Get it on vinyl if you can. That's where I'm going to get it. And in fact, I think they might have even sent it to me, but I'm going to buy another copy to give as a gift. And I'm going to text you some ideas for some comedy bits, my man.
Let's do it. I'll give you a buzz this week, and we'll rap. We'll rap on some ideas. But listen, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's really great to see your face, and I hope we get to see each other in the not too distant future. And yeah, it'll be fun, man. But I do thank you for saying really kind words about the record.
Yeah, well done, Todd. Be safe and be healthy, bro.
All right, man. You too.
Later
Have a good day.
You too.
Yeah.
So there you go. Great guy. Love hanging with him.